And I believe that you will conceive.
Bloom Street.
And
I believe. From their 2008 album, Pure Goodness. Ah, lovely song. Wonderful way to get through the day. And this is Waggin Wednesday. Hey, that all rhymed. What alliteration.
Good.
I'm Tara Bassett. It's 20 minutes after 4, 94 degrees outside. And the hot weather is just here for a short period of time. And then we're going to start seeing it cool down with a few thunderstorms. Expected, I think, by Saturday.
No, not Saturday.
Why?
Please don't mean Saturday.
Well-
Saturday is the YMCA, the Northeast YMCA at Calypso Cove dog swim.
Oh,
and that
I've
is
got to come to that.
so much fun. It's off leash. And I don't know if you've ever seen that pool, but it's like a water park. It has a big slide. It's got a pirate ship with buckets that dump out and little slides. And it is a free-for-all.
It
is absolutely hysterically fun. The proceeds go to Livestrong for cancer survivors.
Awesome.
And it's the best $20 you'll ever spend.
So 92 degrees tomorrow with a 30% chance of late day thunderstorms, 60% chance on Friday. Then it's going to drop down to 85 and 40% chance of thunderstorms on Saturday. So we're doing okay.
All right.
And then we've got, low to mid 80s for the rest of the week, pretty
Nice.
much. And I'm looking forward to that. And right now the sunshine is absolutely beautiful out there. So thanks so much for being with us this afternoon on Waggin Wednesday. My guest is Carla Haas. She is the creator and purveyor of Rudy Green's Doggy Cuisine. And she's got some amazing food and more amazing stories. Now, I just showed her my little pack, and she immediately came up with a conclusion about their personalities, which I think is pretty funny.
And I have 3 dogs too, and this picture reminds me of the equivalent of the personalities
Hold it up
of mine.
right about where Rudy Green's
Where
is.
Rudy Green's is.
Hold
Okay.
it about right there.
So what I have is a Teddy who is happy and smiles all the time. He's a bouncy guy. So that's what this one is. Then I've got
You're right. Wyatt is a bouncy guy.
Okay, then I have Willie, who's AKA the donkey.
Then I have
and
Brady.
My Willie worries. He thinks a lot. He's just a little bit stressed out, and not sure about things, and doesn't always sleep well at night. I'm looking at this guy, and then I have a small female dog named Honey Bunny, who's just kind of like, what's going on? Where's my toy? Yeah, whatever. That's
You got him.
I don't know if that's the typical dynamic of the triad of dogs.
Two boys and a girl.
There you go.
And she's the dominant female. She's the oldest. And then the big boy comes next, and he's pretty much a... And Wyatt is, give me a ball. Give me a ball.
Give me a ball now.
I need the ball.
I need a ball now.
That's all he
Or
looks
anything
for.
else. Or some food. Do you have any food? Yeah.
Brady is a food maniac. And Wyatt is just like, it's okay. I can eat food. But the only time he gets protective is when Brady comes over to his bowl.
Isn't that funny?
I can only imagine what would happen
You're going to find out.
if I bring this stuff into the house.
Yeah.
Because if I get a can of food, a wet food, we call it puppy crack in our house. Oh my gosh, they just go crazy.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that
And-
this stew would
and that's-
attract a lot of attention.
Comme ça. We had a campaign called the Dinner Dance, and that was really fun because people sent videos and pictures in of their dogs dancing for their Rudy Greens. And this is about giving them the joy of real food instead of a highly processed, basically cardboard nugget with artificial nutrients put into it and flavorings for every meal, every day of their lives. I mean, you would never think that it would be okay to feed your children or loved one Cheerios for every meal, every day of their life. Why do we think it's okay to give them something that is a shelf-stable nugget with ingredients that we can't pronounce nor identify for every meal, every day of their lives? And think that that's okay. Well, the reason we think that is because that's what we've been told for like 65 years.
And
years. And unfortunately, the pet food industry created a really good marketing plan by coming up with something that used the waste products from human foods and make them into something that was shelf-stable and convenient and affordable to feed pets. And veterinarians don't buy into it. They do buy into it because they don't have a lot of nutrition curriculum actually none.
I can imagine that's true.
In the College of Veterinary Medicine now.
Well, I think it's fun that you've got on here, and so this kind of embraces everyone. You say, place on open pouch in warm water for 5 minutes or microwave on 1 minute on defrost. Mix it in with ordinary dog food and watch your dog do the Rudy Green's dinner dance.
Exactly.
So you are not horribly opposed to standardized dog food.
And I use it. I mean, it is convenient.
Right.
It's affordable. And it does have added vitamins and minerals in it. Now, a home cooked diet that is, and this is going to lead into something bigger.
Okay.
A home cooked diet that is complete and balanced for your dog would require a DNA test, first of all, know what your breeds were, and a lot of scientific research based on the breeds. And knowing then again, having blood work done to find out whether your dog is absorbing these nutrients. So it's pretty much not all that easy to find out what is complete and balanced. But to take the word for it from a bag of dog food that was developed with money in mind and think that is the best thing for your dog is absurd. It's absolutely absurd, especially when you don't know what the nutrients are. There is a school of thought that was poo-pooed back in the 70s and 80s when they came up with the RDAs for nutrient requirements for dogs about breed-specific nutrition, and it's just beginning to gain some impetus again. If you think about where the breeds came from on the planet and what was inherent and available in their diets for 10,000 years, it pretty much dictates what they should and shouldn't eat.
Right.
And just the casual, unscientific research I've done with this product and talking to people, I know that labs, Goldens, any water dog, Malamutes, they do really well on fish and fowl. Well, duh.
Isn't that
they've been eating fish heads and duck skin for like 10,000 years. So if they don't get fish oil in their diet, then they get dandruffy, icky coats.
Right.
And go figure, a cattle dog should be eating beef, and a shepherd dog, any kind of shepherd, might do better on lamb. So it really, but it's not rocket science. It's just common sense. And we have become so removed from common sense in our own lives, in our own diets, and we're just now getting back to it. But when it comes to pet food, it's just such a intentionally confusing industry that we just kind of walk through it blindly and think that we can trust the bag of food that shows a chicken and carrots and peas on the outside, that's what's in it. And it's not.
That's incredible.
It's not.
You know, I was just thinking about the fact that there are so many different brands of dog food, and they're sold everywhere. And the location of said dog food is often poo-pooed. Mm-hmm. For instance, if you go down to Kroger on Brownsboro Road and you buy your dog food, many people look down their noses at you.
Right.
Because you're not going to an expensive place. Or I should say a more costly place.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking of different independent, pet stores, which is fine. I mean, I buy my food at Feeder Supply, and I'm not ashamed to say it. And I buy stuff at Barkstown.
Right.
Those foods,
big difference, though, between those two things you just said.
Well, interesting. And big between Kroger and everything else. Maybe not?
Not so much.
Really?
Not so much.
Tell me about that. I'm gonna give you a 2-minute introduction.
All right.
And then we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back.
Okay.
So give me a quick little tidbit of what's different.
There are only about 6 or 7 major pet food manufacturers, and they make all the products carried from, whether they're carried at Kroger, whether they're carried at Walmart, Costco, whether they're at Petco, PetSmart, or Feeder Supply. All of these brands, these big manufacturers, make all across the spectrum, all of those foods.
Incredible.
We're talking about Mars, which makes Pedigree and Iams and Eukanuba and Anova, and we're talking about Nestle Purina, which makes everything from Mighty Dog to Purina One to Beneful. Smuckers and Big Heart and Blue Buffalo, they all make everything. It's made by 7 of them. Really only 6.
Who'd have guessed?
And those manufacturers all use 4 facilities to make all of the dry dog food in the country. So it's really, there's just not, and a lot of times the equipment's not cleaned out in between, so you get a good food with some residues from some bad food. And that's what that big pet food recall in 2007 was from.
Yes.
Was the lack, it was that brands were being made after another had been run through with that melamine that was in the food. So there you go. It's not that big a difference. You gotta read the label.
You do. You have to do that with human food too,
Yes,
obviously. But it's getting to the point where we're giving more consideration to our animals than we are to our own food, and we're going to find out more about that with beautiful and talented Carla Haas, who I will tell you had a modeling career at some point in her life. From Rudy Green's Doggy Cuisine, right here on Crescent Hill Radio, WCHQ 100.9 FM. Looking forward to having my friend Harry Rothgerber coming on with an encyclopedic knowledge of baseball. He'll be here at 5 o'clock and keep me company till 6. And then tonight at 7, the incredibly beautiful and talented, you're going to have to give her a run for your money, really, Heidi Joy Stenson. Gorgeous, gorgeous woman, but so talented. She plays the accordion and sings. And her buddy, Kelly Scott Franklin, they are going under the name The Wildflower Chronicles. Wildflower Chronicles. Can't wait to hear them tonight.
Let's take a look at the WCHQ concert view for Wednesday, September 7th. Tonight over at Diamond's Pub in St. Matthews, you can catch Mr. Petar Mandic. Right across the street at Gerstl's, you can check out Kimmett and Doug. Down at Headliners tonight, Twin Peaks and White Reaper. Over at the Smyrna Inn, Acoustic Ink. Down at the Stevie Ray's Blues Bar, the Blues and Grays. And down at the 3rd Street Dive, Out of the Dark, Hank and the Cupcakes, and Mickey Sweet.
This has been your WCHQ Concert View. If you've got a show you'd like to let us know about, go to CrescentHillRadio.com and hit the icon at the top of the screen that says List Your Gig.
Thanks, guys. The Morning Jam goes on. Kevin and Bryce every morning, 7 to 9, Monday through Friday on WCHQ 100.9 FM. I'm talking to Carla Haas, who is the president, CEO, and otherwise high muckety-muck of Rudy Green's Doggy Cuisine. We're talking about dog food, and I know this is going to be of interest to a lot of people. Different types of dog food sold in different locations in the city all have different makeup, and they all are, on a scale of good to bad, I'm sure. So I'm just going to throw something out there. Not talking about any specific stores where I buy it, but I feed natural, balanced, sweet potato and bison. Where does that rank on the scale of good to bad?
Let's look at the ingredient panel on it.
Okay, all
okay.
right.
And which do you happen to have a
I don't
label
happen
with
to
you?
have a label
Okay.
with me because I didn't bring a bag of dog food, but I will.
And that is exactly what you need to do, and then
Might have it
decipher
online.
exactly, and then decipher it. So while you're looking that up, I would like to share with you something that I pulled out. You can tell by the quality of this. It is actually off of a bag. And from the Science Diet booklet that was in a veterinarian's office, and I sort of just helped myself to these pages a long time ago, but the prescription diet from Science Diet
yeah.
from Hills.
Yeah, the vets
And-
always give that to you when you got a sick
or
dog.
or Royal Canin, which is made by Mars, and Science Diet's made by Hills. Again, a few different companies make everything. And what I thought was so interesting about these was the ingredient panel had absolutely no meat in it. At all.
Really?
So look at this, for instance.
Wow.
All right, here's one. Look at the ingredients on that, and this is an expensive food.
It is.
An
I've seen it.
expensive food.
Okay,
read
so
that.
the first thing is whole grain corn,
Okay.
powdered cellulose.
Okay.
Isn't that like corn husks or something?
Powdered cellulose is a cheap filler that's a source of fiber, and it is suspected to include cardboard. It causes irritable bowel syndromes.
Oh
Yes.
my God!
So,
Chicken byproduct meal. That's disgusting.
yes,
I
because
can
that
only-
contains no meat at all. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called byproduct meal. It
I
would be
know.
called chicken.
Oh,
Yes.
gross.
Yeah.
Corn gluten meal.
Corn gluten meal. Where do we begin with that? Corn meal is just a filler that's used as a protein source. Okay, that's the vegetables are any meal is used as a protein source, which doesn't contain meat. The gluten is a binder. So
Oh, great.
yeah.
Chicken liver flavor.
Flavor.
No
Flavor.
chicken
No, no,
liver.
no. Which may or may
Soybean-
not come from chicken livers.
Soybean mill run. God only knows what
yeah,
that means.
a mill run's a good one too.
Soybean oil. Dried beet pulp.
There you go.
Lactic acid.
There you go. Anything
soybean
resembling
meal.
meat. There's no meat.
There is
There's
no
absolutely
meat.
nothing. There's no meat. There's no whole vegetables. There's no whole grains. There's not even any food.
And then there
in
are
that.
words that no one
That
can
no
pronounce.
one can pronounce.
Which is awful.
Exactly.
So it says
Exactly.
crude protein,
That's a guaranteed analysis. A crude protein, yeah.
15.0%.
And how do you get that when you don't have any meat in it? How
That's
do you
what I
get that
was
much
wondering.
protein on a dry product that doesn't have any meat in it?
I
Let me
love
guess.
this. Contains 17.2% powdered cellulose, a source of fiber.
A source of fiber.
Well, if I ate cardboard, I'd have plenty of fiber too. Okay, so let's see. Nutritional info from the dog food that Brady, Gracie, and Wyatt are getting right now. This is interesting. Crude protein, 20%. And I guess it's minimum.
That's the minimum. On protein, it's minimum. On moisture, it's the maximum.
I see.
On fire, it's a very and again, this is going into about pet food regulations and how it's labeled in this country. Oh boy.
Okay, well, this says sweet. This says sweet
Okay,
potatoes.
first ingredient, sweet
it's
potato.
called sweet potato and bison.
Okay, first ingredient is sweet potatoes.
Second is bison.
Perfect. Okay, that's
Potato protein,
good. Okay.
pea protein.
Okay.
I don't like this so much. Canola oil, preserved with natural
Tocopherols.
mixed tocopherols. Is that okay?
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Dicalcium phosphate.
Dicalcium phosphate is now. Wait a minute.
That's a
If
weird
I have
one.
that one on my list, no, I don't. Yeah.
Potato fiber, natural flavor, calcium carbonate.
Now you're gonna go down the
sodium
list,
chloride,
right.
salmon oil. And then it gets into all these other things that are vitamins and minerals and some other stuff that we can't pronounce.
Where's it made? Does it tell you where it's made?
Let's see. Oh, made in China. No. Just
No,
kidding.
does it tell you?
It says.
Or does it say distributed for natural balance?
I
It
don't
tells you.
see.
Tells you where it's
Let's
made.
see. I'm gonna have to look that up when we have our
Okay.
next song and find out.
There
But
you
that's
go.
very interesting. And supposedly, the legitimacy of this website is that you can chat with one of our qualified vet techs
let's.
now. What should I ask him? What did you just ask me? What questions?
Where
did you-
is it made?
Where is this food manufactured?
Manufactured.
Let's see what the vet tech has to say. Okay, please update your info. Well, I don't have any info.
They're going to want you to sign up, log in,
They're
and
gonna
everything
want me
else.
to. Yeah, I'm not gonna
Yes.
do that.
Yeah,
but
there you go.
we'll figure
They
it
want
out.
your dog's
I
names,
can
et
just.
cetera, et
They
cetera.
call me Mrs. Google for a reason.
There you go.
So the deal with now natural balance with sweet potato and bison is it doesn't look too bad,
It doesn't look too bad.
and it could be better. It's not all natural, but it's probably on a scale of 1 to 10 about
It's probably an 8. It probably is an 8.
good.
By those ingredients, it's an 8. Now but we've got to drill way down. But the top 2 ingredients in that are sweet potatoes and bison, which is
Good.
what it says. Now, what parts of the bison and how much bison and how's the bison fed and blah blah blah, all that other stuff. We get deeper. So let's just stick with that.
I have bad
If
news.
you may, yeah, the bisons didn't live on a happy
know,
farm.
Please know that all of the plants which manufacture the natural balance dry canned treats, rolls, pouches are located in the United States, with the exception of our delectable delights, stews, and wet cups, which are manufactured in Thailand by a state-of-the-art U.S. FDA-approved plant.
U.S.
FDA
FDA approved plant, not a USDA monitored facility. A U.S.
interesting.
FDA approved plant in Thailand.
Yeah. I'm a little worried
That's
about that.
kinda weird.
Except I
That's
don't
kinda
feed
weird.
them
Yeah.
delectable delight stews and wet cups. I feed them the
Okay.
regular dry.
And with that ingredient panel, all right. So if you have here, for instance, you got sweet potatoes and you got bison,
Right.
Right. And if you cooked the sweet potatoes and the bison and fed that to your dog, great. That would be great. But if you're gonna cook the sweet potatoes and the bison with the pea protein and the potato protein flour and that kind of stuff, and then maybe just like bake it for a while and try to store it and keep it in a bag
Yeah.
on the shelf and transport it for maybe a year or so. How are you going to keep that from going rancid?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Never
How are you
thought
going to do
about it.
that? The problem with so many pet foods that have quality ingredients, it is not that it's not the problem with the ingredients in them. It's the way it is processed, the way it's manufactured, and the preservatives that are put into it that destroys all of the nutrients to begin with. So if you are making kibble or even canned food, you're using either extrusion for kibble, an extruder, or a retorsion for a canned food.
What's retorsion?
Retorsion is the high pressure and vacuuming and pulling.
Okay.
Okay, it's called retorting.
Okay.
So these two processes are at very intense heats and pressure. If you cook anything, if you boil anything of any value at 600 degrees for hours at a time and then steam it, press it, you're going to destroy nutrients.
Wow.
The value for the nutrient panel, as you see on the back here,
Sure.
in those foods,
Sure.
and to meet AFCO, which I'll go to that in a minute, to meet the requirements for a complete and balanced dog food for all life stages and all breeds, to meet that, they have to put back vitamins and minerals. And those artificially added vitamins and minerals are sprayed on. Have you ever noticed that kibble feels oily?
Oh.
You ever notice that your dry bag of dog food?
Yeah, it
When
does.
there's an oil, there's oil in it in the bag. That is a fat with the flavor and the nutrients that's sprayed on at the end to enhance the flavor and put the nutrients back in.
Okay,
Because
and-
they're not in the cardboard nugget.
And
They're cooked out.
I noticed something else that alarms me, and that is there's like sawdust or something at the bottom. Is that sawdust, or is it
It's just
like
the kibble, the stuff
crunch
that's dried
stuff?
off that,
Okay.
that the oil didn't stick to, and
Okay.
it's crumbling and coming off.
That's
However, now you're talking about sawdust. When kibble was first invented back in the 50s, it was made to use using the offal, the runoff, and all the byproducts from slaughterhouses.
right?
And the sawdust on the slaughterhouse floor with it's gross. It's
Yeah, it
totally
is
gross.
gross.
The remains and blah 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 was what they swept it up with, and that went into pet
Dog
food, into
food.
kibble,
Oh,
into
Lord.
animal food. The regulations that surround pet food are not enforced. They are outdated, vague, and overlooked in this country. The FDA is ultimately responsible for the oversight of pet food.
Frightening.
They defer to the CVM. The CVM defers to AFCO, and AFCO stands for the American Association of Feed Control Officers.
Okay.
It is a non-paying appointed position that one officer per state is
Kinda
usually
like a
affiliated.
constable.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And they have a booklet, they have guidelines
Uh-huh.
that say what a label has to say, what protein levels you have to have in it, what wording you can use, et cetera, and you have to adhere to that to be AFCO approved.
Gotcha.
But they don't have enforcement to walk into a pet food plant and say, you're not doing that right.
And see, what I like about what you're saying to me right now is that, and just so everybody knows, this is not a commercial of any sort for Rudy Greens.
No.
It's an
just
informational
about pet food.
thing about pet food, and you're not
People
even
don't know.
suggesting that people only would
Oh,
want
gosh,
to
no.
choose this.
Or just cook for their dogs. No,
Yeah,
it's not practical.
No.
But read the label on what you're feeding them.
Read the
Read the
label.
label and know how it's made. And then for your own benefit, use common sense. I mean, for 10,000 years, they've been hanging out with us.
That's right.
And pet food was invented in 1950.
Right.
Now, what do you think they ate for the other 9,950 years? They ate what we were eating.
And this can be an additional treat, supplement, whatever you want to call it, to regular dog food, which is pretty cool when you stop to think about it. But Rudy Green's Doggy Cuisine is just pretty cool when
It's
you
sold
start
frozen.
to look at it. It's
and
sold frozen.
because there are no preservatives in it. And the only way to keep it
It's
from
frozen.
going bad,
Yeah.
unless you want to retort it or extrude it, is freezing it. And it is available widely in Kroger stores, independent grocers, both Barkstown Road locations here, a Value Market and Mid-City Mall, on Amazon nationally. And it's in stores from here down in 8 states, down through Atlanta, South Carolina, and in freezers in the pet food aisles.
Boy, I tell you, I love Barkstown.
I know, it's great.
Kim is so
Yeah,
fantastic.
She is, and her staff's educated.
She's been on the show here a couple times, and she is also a font of knowledge.
Truly.
Of all kinds of animal issues. So I'm very glad to have all of you guys who are just so sharp about this, because on Waggin Wednesday, we try to bring information to people that's going to be helpful to them with their
Thank
animals.
you for doing that.
Oh, we're so glad to be able to do it. This is Tara Bassett, and I am in the studio of Crescent Hill Radio, WCHQ 100.9 FM with Carla Haas. She is with Rudy Green's Doggy Cuisine. She founded it. She made it. She's kept it going, and she's at every single festival, fair, farmers market, and everything else that I can count to let you know.
This is our 10-year anniversary.
Oh, yay!
Yeah,
Happy anniversary!
Yes, yeah, and that was a big one.
That's very exciting. We're going to talk about that again when we come back. Meanwhile, let's play a little Hound of the Baskervilles and give us all a chance to stretch our legs and welcome Harry Rothgerber to the studio.
And now the challenge is just debunk, and it makes no sense.
Well, it's funny because I used to feed my little dog King, who was a barn dog.
I had a dog named King.